Welcome to Comtrack, where you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. I'm your host, Tim Leifheit,
I'm Sean Wheeler.
and we are back at the grand finale of the Indiana Jones franchise.
I mean, it's a finale. I don't know if I use the word grand.
Yeah, well, I have to kind of suggest that because, I know, this is the one where all the nerds are like, why are we here?
I mean, I have to kind of agree with them. I watched it in theaters, and I have never watched it again since because I was just like, well.
That was a thing. So yeah, well, if you guys just don't want us to get right to the movie, there's a button below where it tells you where the movie starts. You can click on that or whatever, jump to it if you don't want to skip to the listening us just kind of bullshitting first. But yeah, no, going into it, again, I watched this movie kind of along with the other three in the first time, and it's interesting because I have that perspective where I hadn't seen really any of them until I was about 17, and I kind of just binged them all the way through. And I think watching this one in particular, the only thing that I noticed is how clean it looked. You know what I mean? Like, the other ones are kind of dirty and scruffy and rough around the edges. This one is very clean and very it doesn't have as deep shadows, but it more has like the kind of annoying highlight effect that Spielberg's cinematographer Janusz Kaminski does, like where there's a lot of big highlights and auras around the characters, and it just feels a little too modern for me, I guess. That's the one thing that I really did kind of notice. But in all honesty, I still enjoyed myself a lot more because I'm like, hey, thanks a lot for actually including some fun action and not just have me wait an hour and a half before something really cool happens, like Temple of Doom. But that's just me, man.
Well, I mean, I think anyone's going to have a different approach to something if they're coming into it, as you did, all at once like that at a later period. When you grow up with something, it has a special place in your heart. And if somebody goes to revisit that years and years later, there is a very high bar there.
Yeah, yeah. And plus, now in retrospect, I can totally see why it was a little too long. And you know what's weird? We actually have seen, you remember the trailer when it came out and how awesome the trailer was and how mysterious it was, and we had that first image of, Indy's hat in the dust, and he grabs it, and we see him put it on in silhouette for the trailer, and the Indy march comes up, and all the good stuff. Like, that was a really great little trailer, but as much of the hype that trailer got, it really wasn't the first time we'd seen Indy don the hat since Last Crusade. Harrison Ford totally made an appearance as Indy in the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. What was it? The episode, I think it was Mystery of the Blues or something like that. Because there's like a cold opening, literally a cold opening. He's in a car chase in the snow, and he's helping his Native American friend escape some bad guys, which I thought was really cool. And they get into a cabin, and he talks in past tense about this one other time adventure. Great episode. Take a watch. Just to see Indiana Jones again, in the hat.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes of that show, but certainly have not seen that one.
Oh, dude, check it out. It's wonderful. Especially because it kind of appeals to my tastes in jazz. But yeah, man, this. I don't know why. I guess this movie really has the kind of prequel. Star Wars prequel hate, where everyone's like, "This is fucking bullshit! Kick it to the ground! Kick it! Fuck this! This is the worst thing ever!"
Look, this movie gave the film industry its quotable equivalent to the television industry of jump the shark.
Yes, nuke the fridge, man.
And if nothing else, that is what this movie is going to be remembered for a very long time,
You know,
regardless
yeah.
of whatever benefits it might have.
I can't argue with that because like I still look at this as like, you know, it's the same quality as say like the Phantom Menace. It's like so fucking disappointing to the fans on arrival. In retrospect, there's a lot, even though there are many flaws that just cannot be saved or ignored. There's still some really admirable things to say about it. Like, I still say that Phantom Menace has a lot of great stuff in it, even though it's not really cobbled together great.
Look, it's a difficult period to address for sure. You know, I remember going to see, you know, Phantom Menace opening day ill. Like, I was ill that day, and I over-medicated because I had my tickets for weeks and I wasn't missing it. And you know what? Like, yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. And particularly, like, that ending was great. However, you know, I think I was 14 at the time.
Yeah. I was like, you know, in first grade when that thing came out.
Yeah, I mean, I might have been, actually 14 might be a little younger. Might have been more like, you know, 16. Not sure.
It was 99.
Doesn't really matter.
It was 99, so...
Okay, yeah, so I would have been like 16. But, you know, the real thing here, though, is like, I liked it well enough. I mean, yeah, it had some issues. 2 was just like, ooh. And then, like, 3 kind of brought it back around. So,
yeah.
You know, there's, but at the same time, while I grew up with Star Wars, they went such a different area. Like, it was massively prequel, different time period, different everything.
Different characters,
you know?
all that shit.
Yeah, but you understand going into the original ones that, like, it's coming in at the end of a protracted, long war.
Yeah.
So, of course, it's like, what do you usually see post-war? Well, yeah, things are going to look grimy and awful. Like, that's why the shiny sleekness worked for me in episode 1, because it's before everything had been ravaged.
Yeah, and plus
that level of change, you know, regardless of what other issues there might be, that worked. That made sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, you know, you could do that easier than trying to come back with something like this film, because it's like, yeah, this is actually tied to history. It's not, you know, to a historical time period. It's not a fantasy piece. So it's a little more difficult to jump back into this the same kind of way, because it not being a fantasy world, it not allow, you know, it having more constraints, you can't, your hands are a little tied.
Yeah, I can see that. It's just like, because again, I see a lot of things to be admired in the Crystal Skull. I really, really do want to like a lot of these things. They're just not really cobbled together very well. And for all the hate that it gets, I'm like, dude, come on. Like, you keep calling this, like, I've heard so many fans call it, like, you know, the worst thing, you know, ever, like, the worst thing since fucking Phantom Menace, you know?
Oh, I've watched way worse movies.
Exactly.
Sure.
Like, that's, you know, like, dude, this is not the worst movie ever made. Everyone has seen far worse movies. Is it one of the most disappointing? Maybe. I would put it on disappointing, but I wouldn't call it just worst.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I would agree with it being disappointing. However, you know, what bothers people is they don't, you know, because it was so disappointing to them for something they had such an affinity for, you know, so much affection and love for, that it really soured them towards it, and they don't even want to acknowledge it, and that's why it gets so much vitriol.
Yeah,
because they don't, like, this is not their indie, and that they're not happy about that. They're like, "Where's my indie?"
Yeah, where's my Luke Skywalker? Not my Skywalker.
Exactly.
Fucking Last Jedi haters, man. Like, that's a whole nother podcast, but in short...
Hey, whatever you make, someone's gonna hate. Like,
totally.
That's all there is.
Totally, man. You know, there's probably some weirdo out there that thinks Raiders of the Lost Ark is just a piece of shit. There's probably some weird fucking guy, like, if I may channel my inner Boomhauer. Dang on, man, I'm calling y'all about half a month about that stupid old Raiders of the Lost Ark, man, and old stupid piece of shit, man. Big King of the Hill fan, big fan of Mike Judge, but yeah, we're getting all over the place. So maybe we should just like jump on in and get
let's do it.
This question mark of a train wreck, because I still just don't have the heart to call it. I'm just not one for hate, you know? Like, there's very few movies that I really, truly despise and hate. Because, I don't know, just hate seems like such a waste of time and energy, you know? That's just me. But, yeah, folks, if you've gotten, it's like, hopefully, like, for those of you listening back home, like, this will be a more easy way to digest the movie, or just a different little way, depending on who you are and how you look at it and how you feel about the movie. So that said, if you all got the DVD, you got the Blu-ray, if it's streaming, wherever you can find it, just have it queued up, because we are going to hit this. We're going to start the movie in 3, 2, 1, click. And I forgot. This is the first indie movie with the Lucasfilm logo. Yeah, which is really cool. And then, of course, we have to go retro with the old style Paramount logo. Now Viacom and not Gulf and Western. And
Pretty
then
pathetic mountain this time.
yeah. And then we get our first warning for the CG, the fucking gopher. Man, oh boy. But at least they did bring the cool the Raiders font back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great opening song though to set the time period and tone.
Yeah, yeah. And I do love that it's like just the tiniest touch of American graffiti. You know, that's a little old George Lucas kind of looking back to his old racing roots. Oh yeah, John Hurt's in this too, man.
I forgot about that.
Yep. God rest his soul, man. He was just such a wonderful talent in just about everything he was in. Another top secret, hopefully. Oh my God. I do appreciate the fact that they really did shoot a lot of this out on location. Like, when you see this car chase, that's good. But, like, this whole thing was done out in Nevada desert. Oh, yeah.
I love the Chuck Taylors.
Yep. I can just see George Lucas looking at this sequence and smiling, just, I'm a ready Teddy. Well, get bent, turkey.
Me personally, I'm never not going to love watching classic cars, just tear up the road.
Oh, hell yeah. The Atomic Cafe. Man. Because, okay, so, I love how, I know a lot of indie fans like to shit on this movie and whatnot, but you still got to admit, the first, 20 minutes of this movie is freaking amazing. I don't know how they were ever disappointed with this opening, because, to set it in 57, Nevada, out in the desert, where they go to the original location of the Ark, where it's Area 51, how friggin' brilliant is that? And the fact that, it's no longer the Nazis, it's now the Soviets, because apparently Joseph Stalin did kind of have, a little interest in, ancient lore and tech and stuff like that. That was always a really great shot to me. When he just bends down and they all just kind of in sync come out like that.
Well, and they did a great job casting him. He looks like an angry Rusky.
He does, man. Future site of what was it? Shit, now I'm dropping the ball here. Alien Woodstock. Man, that was such a great great stupid thing to happen last year, man. That was funny as hell. Best part about it was knowing that somewhere the Pentagon had to explain what a Naruto run was. We get our first introduction of Mac and another mysterious picture. There's the hat. I've got my hat. You can't see me, but I assure you I am again wearing my indie hat for this movie. This shot right here, where we got all the guys lined up. We don't see his face yet. And then this great shot. Dude, with the dust. Like, dude, come on, man. And he puts on the hat with silhouette. And you hear the little da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, hell yeah, man. And he turns his head. Fuck yeah, dude. Like, I don't care who you are. That's gold Indiana Jones. But yeah, you know what I was saying about like the overuse of highlights and whatnot that Janusz Kaminski kind of does a lot, like he does in War of the Worlds and Minority Report. That was the only thing that visually I kind of noticed that was a little off about this. But again, that's just him, because I know like both Spielberg and Janusz like really looked at the old films and tried to mimic that as much as they could. But you know, the original cameraman. Doug, oh God, what was his name? Yeah, one sec. Douglas Schlom. That's it. He had retired by this time, so I guess they didn't bring the magic charm, nor the magic charm of the other Indiana Jones tradition of Pat Roach, the stuntman.
I do love her introduction right now. Just
like a lot of people give her rags for, you know, like how fake her Russian accent is, but I actually really like her as a villain. You know, I like that she's a fencer. I like that she's kind of a, you know, a Russian mythos that's kind of has like a little bit of Hydra to it.
Yeah, and I love the establishment right there of the disrespect, you know, throwing the artifacts you've been after on the ground, just...
Yeah, so like, say what you will about Cate Blanchett, I fucking love her as what was it? Spellkov? I forget her. I can never remember the Indiana Jones villain names. Like that's the Spalko. That's it. Yeah, the Indiana Jones movies aren't necessarily about the villains. It's always about the hero. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying though. I mean, looking at now, like, yeah, it's really clean.
Because there's not a whole lot of dust going on. He's not sweaty. He's not. There's
right.
But
well, even when you pull it back though, it's just like, you know, a lot of it's. I don't know if it's because of, you know, being done digital or whatever, but like it just looks so much cleaner.
Well, actually, believe it or not, this movie was shot on film. It was shot on 35 millimeter. I mean, it was. They were really adamant about doing the projecting it in 35, but they decided to go digital last minute. But yeah, it's shots like this.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, look,
it's
with this
really
director, you're never going to have, like, it's not going to be absolutely terrible. I mean, when you have a great director, he's going to do wonderful things like this.
Yeah. But that shot where you saw the reveal, it's cool thematically. The fact that, oh shit, that warehouse was Area 51 this whole time, fucking, that's cool. But the actual technicality of the shot, the CG, yikes. I'm just really glad that Spielberg was like, no, we really got to keep it with real sets, because, you know, George Lucas, who just got done with episode 3, he was doing like all kinds of green screen and doing it all in post. And he wanted to do pretty much this entire sequence off a green screen. And Spielberg was like, absolutely not. I will build the crates. I will build the set. But I'll do extensions. Like, you know, you can see like in the way distance, you know, that's obviously an extension, which is fine. Works for it. But if you don't build those boxes and if you don't have those real cobwebs, you're not there anymore. You know, and Spielberg was smart enough to build that kind of shit. But I can only imagine how much fun the production design must have had with all the crates and all the things that they
Right.
could potentially label it with. Like, I'm just thinking, like, if I were working on this as a prop master, I would have put things like, Jimmy Hoffa, or, like, just stupid things like that. Well, Jimmy Hoffa's not till the 60s, so I guess that wouldn't make any sense. But I do know that.
I mean, practical effects. I'm always in favor of.
Yeah. I did think this was really clever and cool. Apparently, you know what's another little Easter egg in the props? It's really hard to spot, and I don't think we're ever really going to be able to point it out. But there is a long, thin box that supposedly holds Moses' staff. And the staff itself is actually an exact replica that the prop masters made, and it's an exact replica of the one from Cecil B. DeMille's The Ten Commandments, which I thought is like a lovely little bit of film history to add to it. Man, Harrison Ford looks good.
Oh yeah, I mean, he definitely got himself in the proper shape to do this movie.
Apparently, he always was in shape, because he only added like a little bit more to his exercise routine. Because he's always been a really fit guy, but goddamn, like he apparently, Indy in this movie is supposed to be like in his 50s, because it's 57 and he was born in 1899 and whatnot. But Harrison Ford was in his 60s doing this, man, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to see that he would want to come back even now. He's pushing 80 now, and he's still like, I'm coming. And now we have our wonderful reveal of the contents of the box. I do like the fact that they're calling back to the Roswell incident, and he was one of the professors.
Mm-hmm.
Even the way he stands on the box there, like up top, just kind of looking down with the light in the background. That's cool. And the magnets. And I also love the effect that they have on the dog tags. Like, where's this shot coming up? With the lights and... Man, that's such a cool shot. All the artifacts. But yeah, well, you see the dog tags just kind of floating, and thought, that's cool. Good shit, man. Like I said, I know this movie isn't the greatest, but fuck you if you think this sequence is subpar. I love this sequence, and I love the mystery behind the mummified remains of an alien from Area 51. Roswell, New Mexico. There it is. Oh shit, is it the Tar Man from Return of the Living Dead now? Like, don't open the vat! You'll kill us all! And I love the fact that how he uses all these extras to kind of, obscure it. It's as if because I even found myself when I first watched this, myself kind of leaning in and moving around the heads, and bobbing my heads to see around all the extras to see what the hell was going on. And to me, that's always just a sign of good camera work. Oh shit, man! E.T.'s aged terribly. Remember that point where they left him to die in the water? Like, and he's all crusty looking? Looks like he didn't make it home after all. And then, of course, I actually do love the wide shot where they all, like, actually motion. For me, that just registers a lot better, but... I'm sorry, I just really don't like this character. In retrospect, now
I like the actor, just not the character.
Yeah. The fact that he just wants money, he's like, I'm a capitalist, mate. I just want money. Like, come on. It's almost like, how, like, we talk about how Disney's kind of taken over and become like a big almighty, worship the almighty dollar and whatnot, but can you stop being so self-relevant and whatnot? Like, okay, that's I did like that part. Finally, they addressed that. Because ever notice any other time the hero does that, the gun never goes off?
Right.
Finally, they acknowledge that. Now we have.
Well, I mean, it's not for sure, but it's always a possibility.
All right, we are this shot right here. Hell yeah! And then he misses. Like, I love this little line right here where he's like, "That's great." Now that's fucking classic indie. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, this movie starts strong.
Exactly. If you're not supercharged by that, I don't know what to do, man. Because like this shit's great. Where he drives from one truck and goes to another, and then we got this great moment here where he bursts through, boom, and then of course we get a really wonderful cameo appearance. That's the actual prop, too, which I thought was really cool. Really cool.
With the same bright light. I love it.
Oh, I love this. Oh, man, that is such good stunt work. Man, it's crazy how good it looks now. Run, Indy! Damn, that's fun. And kick! Uh-oh. Oh, shit. I'm actually surprised that he didn't, like, just use his whip and it becomes a chain versus whip kind of fight. Little missed opportunity, but whatever. Oh, you know what's another really strange thing about this movie that I actually realized in retrospect? This is the only Indiana Jones movie where he does not fire his gun. Yeah. It makes sense here because, like they already took his gun. He dropped his Tommy gun that he took. Oh, Jesus. Little CGE, but whatever. I'll take it. The effect is there. And then we got this wonderful moment where they just launch him straight back. And, of course, even the... oh, shit. I forgot. Little Utini moment with the, like, gophers equal Jawas. That's got to be a George Lucas note. But, man, that ride must have been crazy because Indy's hat fell off. Thump. Little whim. Remember, Jones, it's not the ears, it's the mileage. I actually love that little dust effect. Really wonderful. Matter of fact, though, that's I think what Frank Marshall, who's been producing these movies since the beginning, when he's like, "Are we sure we want to bring back Indy? Because like Last Crusade felt final enough," and Spielberg literally looked at him straight in the face and went, "It's not the years, it's the mileage." And I totally believe that Harrison Ford can come back. I still wouldn't mind seeing, the next Indy 5 movie that actually takes place before this. And it's Harrison Ford and de-age CG. Because it can work, I
mean, they have the technology now to make that happen, for sure. I'm not necessarily opposed. I'm just, you know, you have certain levels of expectations.
Yeah, honestly, really, we just want a really good story, you know, really good story and even better action. That's what we come to indie movies for. Unfortunately, we're not going to get in this scene because this is. Although I will say, even though you know this is the whole nuke the fridge shit, I do like the setup. Where he's like, because you have to wait for the reveal of these mannequins here. You know, I like the setup of the town, and the fact that is like, wait a minute.
What's funny is why would everything else though be like, you know, of a level of fake, but they made the TV real and on.
I have no idea, honestly. Oh shit. Oh, that's not good at all. And I guess, like, oh, did you actually notice that the bomb said, "I like Ike"? That was a lovely little. You'd think that car actually probably would have been able to make it out in time, actually. Or at least the major blast area. It would still be heavily irradiated, but still. It's still a little bit better than this. Like the fact that he even went out of his way to show that it's lead lined. Here it goes. I do like the effects here on display with the just the how horrifying a nuclear explosion is. It's a little bit of Terminator too, isn't it? Goodbye. Oh, there goes the fridge.
Right, but like that impact alone wouldn't have just straight up like
all of his bones should be broken.
Yeah, and his organs have gone splat.
He should be like a casserole from the inside. And then again with the gopher. What is with the gophers?
No idea.
Yep.
And you would walk. Why would you walk back towards it?
Granted, I think the image is cool.
Yeah, but you can have that image of him walking away.
What? I just don't know, man. Like,
you know, not to mention the health ramifications he would have. From
totally.
Being out of the fridge and exposed to that much radiation.
His hair and teeth should have just been falling out. Like,
I mean,
this chemical bath should do nothing.
The reality of the situation is like.
Although I do like that moment where he like looks down and he's like, "Could you please keep it above the belt?" I did like that little gesture.
It was a funny moment, keeping the humor there.
But yeah, it's just I'm sorry, it's not. It just doesn't feel right. But again, it's still for me on the level of like, you know, jumping out of an airplane and having a raft carry you down to safety. Like, bullshit. So like for me, like Indiana Jones already jumped the shark or nuked the fridge for me before it even nuked the fridge. So I don't give it as much hate as many of the others, but even I still can't defend it entirely. Oh yeah, and then he's talking about him examining one of the professors to examine the remains and spaceships of the Roswell crash. What's in the box? But yeah, man, like I actually love that they, because again, there are legit good ideas. Having Indiana Jones being tied to the Roswell incident, brilliant. Is actually kind of cool.
I mean, it's not a bad premise. Again,
it just doesn't pay off. Yeah. I even love that you know, he's got ties to the OSS and he's like, oh, Indy's not a commie. The man was a Medal of Honor winner in World War II, and he was in OSS and all that. And I'm like, thank you. Like, how dare you even suggest that the most Americana hero ever is a commie? Or really just in any way an enemy of America? How dare? Of course, I do love how it's kind of going with the old formula where we have like a bit, you know, your adventure up front, and then we have your exposition scene with officials, be they government or otherwise, about his next adventure, so to speak.
They did a great job casting the suits.
Yeah, I do like the suits. And then finally, back to the university, where as always he's just kind of kicking back and teaching. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, well, and then we have crap, what's his name? Jim Broadbent, that's it. I remember him from as the chief of police from Hot Fuzz. It's all for the greater good. The greater good. Great film. But yeah, he replaces him as the dean.
I remember him more as
the first one, because you know, obviously,
passed on. Yes.
Oh, what's his name? Who played Brody? Crap, what's his name? Do you remember? Denham Elliott. He sadly passed away in '92, so obviously couldn't come back around for Marcus Brody. Aww. And the old indie house. I wonder if this actually was the same house that they had in Last Crusade and Raiders.
Yeah, who knows?
Might be.
That is a good line.
Yeah. And we got now we're about to get our little hint of some other actors who just turned down the role to be in this movie, including most famously, yeah, Sean Connery. And you know what? I'm actually kind of glad that he wasn't in this one, just because, like, if he did make a cameo appearance, Spielberg was like, man, how disappointing would it have been to have him make a cameo and not bring him on the adventure?
Right.
Yeah, man. So, like, I'm actually kind of glad that he's not there. And plus, you know, like, Sean Connery's like, I don't want to be in this. I'm enjoying my retirement.
You know, right here, though, it's the first time it's really catching. I really do like the music cues in this. I mean, with the score.
Oh, dude, it's so hard to go wrong with John Williams. I mean, even in his lesser things, he has such great things in it.
And you know, that's one of the things that I always... There's always things to appreciate in movies, even if it's like, you might not like the movie as a whole, but there are things to like.
Speaking of not things
to like...
right there,
coming out of the fog, it's a fun little bit.
It's fun. Okay, I love the fact that Mutt Williams looks like Marlon Brando from The Wild Ones. I love that visual language on display. But, oh my god, I'm sorry, I just really freaking hate him in this movie. Like... I know Shia LaBeouf's a really cool dude and really fucking weird dude, which I kind of admire, strangely. I can't explain why, but Yeah, did you hear about all the drama about him between him, Spielberg, and Harrison Ford when this movie got out?
Nah.
Yeah, well, apparently he had like some less than favorable comments towards the movie. Like he said, like, "Oh man, these people dropped the ball, and it's not as good." And sorry, I made this and shit like that. And Spielberg were like, "Dude, what the fuck? Like, you do
Yeah,
like
that's kind of Hollywood 101. You don't badmouth a movie you're in.
No,
you can
dude,
praise
like,
it, or you can stay silent. Like, you don't have to say anything, but you don't badmouth
no, literally, like I think Spielberg said, "Look, dude, there's a time for being a fucking human being, and there's a time to sell cars."
Yeah.
Like, so eventually, like Spielberg just like both he and Spielberg had a huge falling out with that, and Harrison Ford straight up called him a fucking idiot for doing that. I really love that little bit where he takes the beer and puts it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really good blocking in this. Because Spielberg's like one of the best director speaking, like is one of the best blockers who ever lived.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, after that, like even like the franchise and like David Cope, who wrote the screenplay for a couple of them, were like, yeah, Shia LaBeouf is straight up fired from this. He is not coming back for Indiana Jones 5. Which is why I'm so into the fact that it would be a movie that takes place before this, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I would be in favor of Harrison Ford returning, with de-age via CG, because when you have the budget and you have the resources, which they obviously do. You can do it.
Oh, yeah.
And Harrison Ford's
Spielberg
talented.
can do anything he wants. Like,
Hell
Spielberg shows up, somebody will give him money.
Hell yeah. And I'm totally willing to have them do that because, the dude's pushing 80. Still is fit as fuck, though, and super enthusiastic about the characters. So I'm totally willing to have him do that way. But you know what else I love about the blocking of the scene? Anytime it cuts back to Shia LaBeouf and you look, even though it's in close-up, if you look off to the over his shoulder and into the distance, you can actually see the communist guys looking over at him.
Yep.
It's always in the shot, and yet it doesn't really pay off until Indy points them out, which I thought is awesome. Like, you can always see them in the background. That's great filmmaking. Of course, now we have our little exposition about the Crystal Skull and where his mom is, which eventually, spoilers, will be Marion Ravenwood. Come on, dude. Like, Karen Allen name was in the opening credits. We know it's Marion Ravenwood.
Right.
Oh, dude, I just noticed something. You notice the Letterman jackets? They all say Marshall. Because apparently the college that Indy teaches at is Marshall College, which in fact is named after Frank Marshall, the producer, which I thought was actually kind of cool. I just noticed that the Letterman jackets are all Marshall College, which that's a cool little detail. Didn't notice that before. And we got some more MacGuffin stuff. Yep, there they are. See, again, they were in the whole frame, but they were totally paid off for this, which is great. Oh, shit. Oh, crap. We actually there are actual Russian spies in this Russian Red Scare? Inconceivable. To a gunfight. And I do really love the way how they get out of this. Like, hey, punch this guy. Classic Indy punch. And then, of course, the great blocking with the greasers versus the versus the jocks. Like, that's great.
And the song just hits perfectly.
Perfect. Love it.
Also, I love the fact that he intentionally threw a hat over, like, to throw people off.
Yep. Great. And now we got another chase. So, again, this is another thing that this movie for me was acceptable. Like we
Yeah,
actually had some.
As I said, I'm never going to be mad about any chase sequence involving classic cars.
Oh, dude, totally.
I just enjoy seeing those really cool old cars.
Man, dude. And it's really cool that they. It's really weird to say, but we're seeing an Indiana Jones action sequence that isn't exactly the most exotic location, and yet I'm there. Oh shit. Man, look at this. Like, he gets pulled into a moving car. Like, that's an actual stunt, man. That's crazy. And then he gets back onto it. Oh, shit. Watch the shoes. Watch the shoes.
This is some pretty impressive stunt work here.
Right. Man, it's a good thing that those shoes are actually really durable. Yeah.
Well, back in the day, not now.
Yeah. Well, apparently, so because I've read up on like the indie prop forums, and there's actually a place called like what was it? There's a website. I might link it in below because it's actually really worth checking out. What was it? Shit. I think it was like a Raider. Yeah, the Raider.net.
Okay.
And they have like detailed descriptions of all the pieces of Indiana Jones's gear. And apparently the shoes are super durable. Like, they're like $500 shoes, but if it's like one of the shoes that will last fucking forever. I love this. They
Gotcha.
go into a Red Scare protest. How perfect is that? Red
that are dead.
Red. I love that, man. Like, it's so on the nose and it's so pulpy. I love it. Although this part I thought was a little weird. Having a statue of Marcus Brody and they behead the thing? That's a little weird. I mean, I know, Indy's like has that reverence for it, but it's weird that, you actually kind of get a laugh out of it. I don't know, but whatever. And then going into the library. But yeah, the Raider.net has like a whole bunch of shit, and apparently Harrison Ford loved the shoes that he had for Raiders so much that he still wears those same types of shoes to this day.
Huh.
Which is awesome. But yeah, I'll link that in the description below so you guys can check it out, because it's actually a really great site to check out. Wilhelm Scream! So cartoony too, like the close-up and the nerd face, like... And if this ain't like college, where we have something as surreal as a motorcycle chase spilling into a library, he still asks a question like it's just another day. That's such a strange thing for him to say in retrospect, because you remember in the last movies, like, he, 90%...
Research.
Yeah, research, 90% of it is done in the library, and it's like, this is really weird. Like, did anyone have notes on that? Like, I don't know.
Okay, does anyone else... The non-second... Like, this makes no sense. They're pursuing Dr. Jones. He goes home. What, like they wouldn't know where he lived?
This is a very good question. What? Yeah, you're right. I didn't realize that. That's so weird. He is now. Oh, and I also love that gone is the old, like, large glasses that he had in like the first Raiders movie. Now he's wearing the more traditional circular glasses. Which, I'll be honest, I kind of like that on him. I think that's actually a reference to Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. Like, every episode would start with like 100-year-old Indiana Jones as like an old man, and he's got those same glasses. That might be a little bit of a reference. There once was a man from Peru. And now we have our famous travel from the U.S. to all
And
the way
now
down.
it's Pan-American, of
Yep.
course. You
Oh,
know,
yeah, of course, Pan
time
Am.
period appropriate.
Yep, I do love that. Going all around, and we have this little bit here where he's taking his Harley Davidson and classic Indy, just putting his hat down over his face to take a nap. Well, you'd think he'd probably be reading a little bit more, because that was like probably the best part when Last Crusade, where he's actually reading the diary to brush up on his next adventure before he gets there.
Right.
Yeah.
Showing him actually doing the due diligence.
Pretty good knife work, kid. Pretty good. Still doesn't make up for the character, though. I'm sorry. Really wish it did, man, because I know Shia LaBeouf had to practice a lot for that. And, look, I don't really want to shit on him too much, like, personally and whatnot, because, again, it's just like, I know they were trying to go with this whole thing with, you know, the father-son relationship. Only Indy's the dad now, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. Although I do like the fact that, you know, he tells the kid to be like, look, I'm not here to tell you, you know, what to do. Like, if you don't want to go to school and you're passionate about, you know, your motorcycles and whatnot, and you're passionate about something, why should I tell you? Don't let anyone tell you otherwise to do it, you know?
Right.
And then, of course, later on, as soon as he finds out his son, he's like, why didn't you make him finish school? I did think that was like a lovely little character moment there. Because, again, there are moments where, even in the character moments, it's actually kind of brilliant. It's just, it just doesn't quite work out. Yeah, see? He's like, he's cool with it. Unless you're my son, then you go to school like a good boy.
It's important to have standards, man.
Because I've got to have, you know, like, I've got to I've got to be my father, but not be my father. And then shit, Mac is falling. How did Mac find them?
Yeah.
That's something I just noticed. Like, how did Mac follow them or something? How did he find them?
Yeah. Again, this is, you know, just like my point. Why would they go to his house? Like, they didn't know where he lived. Like,
it's tiny little things that are like, wait, what?
It's not always big things that take you out of a movie. It's a lot of little ones.
Mm-hmm. Although, you know, we had that little shot there with the prisoner. Why, you know, I'm surprised they didn't make that a lot more grotesque and brutal. You know, because we talked about how in, you know, the Temple of Doom episode where Spielberg just did not give a fuck and went crazy. And then you look at Temple or Last Crusade, and he's like, I'm gonna fall back because, you know, maybe I did go a little too much. Like, maybe it wasn't a little bad taste or whatnot. Now you look at this, like, it makes Last Crusade look fucking tame. Because, like, there's no real, like, ugh moment or, like, Jesus moment. Because even Last Crusade had the goodwill to have, like, a holy shit moment. Like, just in pure shock. But I guess it's just, you know, Spielberg kind of maturing. Because obviously, you know, Schindler's List affected him deeply in how he makes movies and whatnot. And literally, you know what the movie finished right before he started this one? He just finished Munich. Which, if you've ever seen that movie, that's a heavy movie, man. So the fact that he just got off of that really depressing shit, I guess one can kind of understand why he wouldn't want to go all crazy again. Because, you know, it's just, he's a different guy now, you know? Although still, a part of me does kind of miss that old Spielberg.
Well, I mean, but look, everyone's gonna mature and grow as an artist. I mean, it's just how it is.
Yeah, yeah. Although, it's
like your life experiences are going to impact your art, and that's perfectly fine.
Yep. Although, would you object if Spielberg did not return to direct Indy 5? That's something, yeah, because that's a big question.
I think I might, because it's been so his. It's not like a franchise that has gone all over the place or that has had other people involved before.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know how you do that.
I would have him, like, you know, be a producer and be, like, heavily involved in the creative process. And as long as you have a really good director to actually step into the chair, I think I'll be okay, so long as it's in service of a really good movie and a good story. But
I don't know, like, because I mean, now you can make arguments about what's happened with the Jurassic Park franchise. If we're gonna go that route. So
let's
not necessarily.
That's another
try to make
episode.
That
But yeah, because again, even looking at these sets, they still look like sets. Like, you remember we were talking about in Raiders of the Lost Ark and all the other movies. Like, they look like movie sets, but it adds to that kind of pulpy quality to it. And I like these sets, even though it's really weird that we managed to get here so quickly. I thought that reveal was kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's cool.
Fucking ninjas. And I'm pretty sure, like some of the others. But I'm pretty sure I've seen in some of the other movies, because apparently, like, it's always kind of a good luck Easter egg to have C-3PO and R2-D2 in hieroglyphs. And I think they're either here or in, like, the temple chamber. I forget. Jesus. Yeah, like, now looking at that, I'm like, why didn't they really should have gone crazy with these guys, you know? Like, it feels as over the top as these, you know, these actors here are playing it. It feels kind of bland by comparison, doesn't it? Oh, that was cool. and you know what else was missing? I think the other thing that was missing from that shot, when he blows it back into him, there should have been like a spurt of blood.
Yeah.
Trailer moment.
Yeah, but I mean, you're very right. Like, that sequence felt way too short.
Too short and downplayed, actually.
Yeah.
Like, where's the blood, the crazy eyes, the part where you're like, actually like, holy Jesus Christ, shit, that's fucking terrifying. Like, I wasn't really terrified. It was just like another sequence. Yep. Which, again, I'm okay with, considering how it fits with the rest of the pace.
Right, but in so many other places, though, in other indie films, it's like, you know why these people are doing what they're doing and what they're about. Why are those guys there? What is their purpose? Why are they in this graveyard?
Well, they're here to look for one of the conquistadors.
No, not why are they there? Why were those enemies there?
Oh, yeah, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, there is no explanation, is there? There's
exactly.
It's like a weird wavy of the hand, like, oh, they're here to protect what's inside, I guess. At least Last Crusade had the benefit of clarifying that, you know?
Yeah, like, there's always an explanation, like, all these other points, and here you're just like, what the heck?
Yeah. Again, it's the little things that add up that make this movie a little...
And, I mean, you know, that moment right there, him through the hole, the homage to...
Temple of Doom, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I do like this little bit with the scorpions. I'm just shocked that, you know, we have a little bit here with the scorpions, but you notice that there's only ever, like, maybe 3 of them in frame at a time? You would have thought that there would have been, like, a bazillion scorpions that poured out. Okay, that bit was kind of cool, but I really wish that scene was preceded by... say, like, you know, Mutt moves one of the skulls out of the way, and out of the skull's mouth produces a bazillion scorpions, and they crawl over him.
Something, yeah.
Like, that would have been cool. But no, we just only had... Because, remember we used to say that, what was it? With Spielberg, 1 is never enough. It always has to be like 100. He should have had that instinct there. But again, I even though I feel like I'm whining through this whole thing, I should point out that it's still like a little thing for me.
I mean, yeah, some of the writing, that's it. Like some of the dialogue is very indie and zingery and fun. But that's what I'm saying. Like they have some elements right, but it seems like they were trying so hard to incorporate other elements that just didn't operate properly.
Yeah, and playing it safe too. Like that's the other real big thing. I do like this effect though. I thought this was actually kind of cool. And I do like this little reveal here where he's like, "Come on, genius."
How many times have you seen this movie that you know these lines?
I think I've seen this movie about 3 times. I think, because I know I've seen it. I watch it every once in a while when it came on cable. Because my parents are older and they had cable for the longest time. So, it would just be a lot of movies, but whatnot. Do like that. Whereas, don't touch anything. And then immediately starts to touch everything. And Indy himself starts to touch all the things. I do like the cobwebs on his hat, though. Mummified remains. You know what would have been an amazing crossover that just crossed my mind? Brendan Fraser and Indiana Jones from The Mummy working together.
Oh, yeah.
How amazing would that have been? Because let's be honest, like those movies were such big riffs on it.
Yeah. I mean, although, to be fair, I mean, I really think that franchise started to falter the longer it went on.
Well, I mean, you can argue the same thing happened here.
I think it's for the first 3 of this were really solid. So.
Oh, that's awesome. This was really cool. Where it just kind of falls apart.
Uh-huh.
That actually was kind of cool. Not gonna lie. And once again, Indiana Jones proving that he truly is the worst archaeologist ever. You would think, like, holy shit, these mummified remains haven't aged at all since they were buried hundreds and hundreds of years ago. We've got to take this back to a lab and a clean room and open it up so that we can examine this thing and the method of how they did it. But nah, just cut it open immediately and let it die. Oh, shit. I feel like this was another little kind of oh, that's really fun. But this kind of reminds me of the moment in Last Crusade where he meets the knight in the burial chamber again. This gold. Boy, that CG did not age well.
No.
I think you remember. I remember. Did you ever see the documentary? Oh, that's comforting.
Right.
Did you ever see the documentary George Lucas versus the People? Or the
No,
people?
I'm aware of it, but yeah,
I've
People versus George
Yeah, I've
Lucas.
seen it
Yeah.
many times, and it's all about the fan relationships with George Lucas and Star Wars, and particularly after the prequels and whatnot. Um, but they do bring. There's a little segment where they bring up Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, and they're like, uh, people actually went out of their way to say, George, you've got to stop hurting us like this. They didn't call out Spielberg; they called out George. And you can kind of tell because like a lot of these notes are just like definitely like the whole 1950s aspect was his idea, which does work. But did you see some of the alternate titles for this movie?
No.
Okay, there's some really good ones in here actually, but there's a lot of alternative names that are really bad, like the worst. And this was George Lucas's idea for the title for Indy 4. I shit you not, Indiana Jones and the Saucer Men.
Wow.
That's a shitty title. I'm sorry. But some of the other ones were like Indiana Jones and the Destroyer of Worlds. Indiana.
I have to interject here because of this scene. That's an indie prop I don't want.
I know, right? Because like they built up the mystery of it a little bit, but as soon as he starts holding it like that, it literally looks like a piece of plastic that he's just kind of holding.
Yeah.
Like, there's no mystery
to it. It's like all the other times Indy gets a big, meaningful piece. It's amazing. Then there's this one you're like, nah.
Yeah, I mean, even like the stones would glow. The Holy Grail had like a little bit of a glow to it, like coming from the cup and had like that ether quality. The Ark of the Covenant was always so beautiful and mysterious. This one just, it just feels so phoned in.
And I mean that, like, they're not even going to do the dialogue play out?
Yeah, well, also, where the hell did you come from? Seriously.
Right, where did he come from? I mean, it's usually the banter with the villains and that makes those indie scenes memorable and great, and they're just like, meh.
Hi, Jones. Cut. And then take them inexplicably all the way to the Amazon, which I'm like, all right. I'll go with you, but whatever. Just, I don't know. Just like there needs to be a little bit more support. But, yeah, another title that they wanted to use was, I thought actually this sounded cool, Indiana Jones and the City of Gods.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah, and there's not some bad ones, like, or the Lost City of Gold, or the Quest for Covenant, the Fourth Corner of the Earth. There's some fun ones in there, but I don't know. I mean, even though Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is an exceptionally long title, I'll go with it. Whatever. Man, for being in like the dusty Aztec ruins or whatnot, doesn't Indy look a little bit clean here?
Yep. I mean, he was just digging around in a barrow. Come on.
It looks like his jacket just came off the shelf. Money, 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 money. Thank God we have a real villain coming into this scene. Fuck off. Well, now we have like a little bit of a James Bond thing going where like it's psychic torture.
Right.
Oh yeah, I think that's where Destroyer of Worlds came from, which actually would have been kind of cool to the Oppenheimer quote with the the nuking the fridge moment, which
Yeah.
it's surprising they didn't never use any of that to kind of link it together. Once again, good ideas, just not linked together in the strongest way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, can you imagine if they used that in like the trailer? Like, you remember when the new Godzilla movie came out and they had the Oppenheimer quote in the background? Vishnu takes on his multi-armed form. Now I'm become death, the destroyer of worlds. Such a good way to pump it up, but that's another episode.
One of the things I really like about this is you can at least tell that Kate Blanchett's having fun with this.
Oh, totally. I even like the highlight that they give Indy with the curtain in the background and how it kind of frames him.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool. Oh, there it is. Alien autopsy. Although it's in these shots where I'm like, oh, you've shown too much now. You know? Like, because I remember, you remember in that first sequence where you're kind of like, what is in there? Like, I gotta move my head, even though it's a still frame. I gotta move my head around the actors to see what the hell this is, and they kept the mystery to that. Here, they just showed it in full, and it's just like, come on, man. Like, keep a little bit of mystery to these things. It's more fun when you don't know.
And they're doing so much of the writing is intentional callbacks. I've heard that bedtime story before. It's just like they're doing so much to try and like, oh yeah, it's in this world, but it's like,
yeah, I don't know. Then we have John Hurt, who's gone completely bonkers in this movie. I will say this: John Hurt really does play this role amazingly. The fact that he's kind of a crazy nutball who's lost his mind,
right?
He actually plays it with just the right amount of sadness in his eyes.
I mean, he's a fantastic actor. He actually has a very impressive record.
Oh yeah,
if
dude.
You're not aware?
Oh, totally. Are you kidding me? Yeah, man.
Do you know what title he actually has?
What's that?
Sean Bean has nothing on him. He's died on film more than any other actor.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
John Hurt has the title for the most deaths on film.
That's cool. Wow. Kudos to him, man. God rest that man's soul. But the other really crazy thing is, I think that little bit of hint of sadness that he brings to the role, like when you see it in his eyes and it's kind of wandering and you feel really bad about him. I feel like Elephant Man was a big help.
Yeah.
Only this time I don't have to, put on like 8 million pounds of makeup on my face to emote. Yeah, and which resulted in, I have to admit, probably the most disappointing villain death of all of them.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Why they could have done something a lot more practical instead of just doing this whole CG thing. I just really do hope that whatever they do for the next one is that they just use CG to, like, the most CG that they'll use is to de-age Harrison Ford and enhance certain shots. Like, they'll go in doing with, say, someone like Christopher Nolan's shooting style, where they'll do a lot, like either 90% or 100% in-camera stuff, and then just use CG to remove elements,
Yeah.
Like, then I think that would be the right way to go, because, if it is real, it does have that real, visceral kind of effect on you. Adrenaline does get pumped into you.
Oh, for sure.
You know what would have been amazing if we had a bit of a callback where Indy turns evil again, from Temple of Doom.
That would not have been bad.
That would have been interesting just to see him go fucking ape shit, and it wasn't. And you know how this scene should have turned out, where he just goes bonkers, turns into evil Indy again, kills like half these people, and then gets punched in the face by, who is it? Marion Ravenwood.
Right.
Like, what a great reveal that would have been to her character, and a great, just out of left field, holy shit, indie moment. That would have been awesome, but instead, Marion.
I like that they give him his hat back, and in such a fun little way right there.
I know, right? I do like that sword case, though. Always got to have his fucking hair. You know what's actually really funny? Apparently, Shia LaBeouf was all that, and he thought, oh, I can rock the comb and whatnot. George Lucas literally said, give me that comb. I'm going to show you how a real guy uses it. Oh, there she is. Marion Ravenwood. Still the best of the ones. And, of course, I really do like this, where she just straight up... Oh, wait, no. What? They should have had her deck him. Do like Harrison Ford's acting here, though. Man, Karen Allen is just wonderful returning. Like, I don't want to listen to those haters, man. Like, she is probably one of the best things to return from the old franchise,
Oh, for sure.
Henry Jones Jr. Oh, yeah, that's right. They were using quotes from Paradise Lost, which is actually kind of cool. Give him something to write with, damn it! I do like this kind of silhouette kind of shot here, though. Oh yeah, so you know what I found out in the behind the scenes? That hand is not John Hurt's hand. Because they actually wanted to get the Mayan drawings correct. They actually had someone else, an expert in those drawings, be his hand. So there's actually like the guy is just poking his hand in front while John Hurt kind of looks off to the distance, which actually kind of helps the scene, to be honest, because that just kind of shows that he's still just totally not there.
Yep.
This is a little heartwarming scene. Oh man, God, we miss you, John Hurt.
I mean, great actor. Just such a great actor.
Mm-hmm. And everything from Hellboy to Alien to, he was Winston in 1984. Like, so many wonderful, admirable roles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just always so spot on.
Mm-hmm. He's usually, like, one of the better things of any given movie. And I'd argue that he's no exception to this one, because... a lot of people are like, oh man, they really don't give John Hurt anything to do. And I'm like, yeah, they do.
Look,
they don't really.
A big thing for me, I don't care how big your role is, I care how well you do it.
Exactly.
And John Hurt does it perfectly.
Exactly. So, That's what I say to all you indie haters out there. And again, I just lost like a shitload of subscribers. The very few subscribers that I have right now.
Oh, no, look. His performance does not make up for the flaws in this movie. I mean, you know, look, on the whole sequence of getting to this point, you know, there were, 3 non sequiturs? Like,
yeah.
That's problematic.
Okay, kid, seriously, what was your plan here?
Right?
What was your plan? Is there any civilization around here? Like, dude. Right? Even Indy's like, you're full of shit, kid. Although this lends itself to a really wonderful little sequence with quicksand.
Yep.
Oh. Remember, it's Jumanji logic. Stay calm. Again, it's the Jumanji logic, you know? I actually do like that. Where he has to give a whole lecture about it. Get a rope. Help. Dude, where are you going to get help? The only other people around here are the fucking Soviets. I do like this little reveal here with these two. What? I love that payoff. That's actually really good. And I also love that they don't reveal what it is until they get Marion out. It's just not an Indiana Jones film without some snakes. Get a rope. Don't call it a snake. That's like one of my favorite bits. Don't. He's like, look, just tell me to grab the rope. Great little moment. Why did it have to be snakes? For real, dude. How did you not figure that this would be the result?
Right?
Right? Like, dude, seriously. Who else is
I just love how self-satisfied he is because he's just out of his mind.
I know. He sells it so well. I love it. Okay, this is a point where, like, where things look uber fakey. And you have the CG here. And you know what's really sad? They actually went out to location. They were out in Hawaii shooting in the rainforest for these sequences. And yet it still looked so fakey. I can't fathom how they were able to do that. Man, their chemistry is just so spot on. I don't love the Russian here. He's like, shut the hell up. Shia LaBeouf is just like, oh my god, for real? You guys gonna do this? But, you know, I love the fact that, you know, me as like an audience member, I'm like, no, I'm here for this. Just gotta have to have Bound and Gagger now. Boom! Yeah! Get him! Kick his ass, Cindy.
That guy's had a bad run of it.
Nice. For real? Oh. So what was the joke? Did he like rip his jacket or his pants?
I don't even know.
Man, I really wish they had a payoff to that, because that actually would have been kind of fun. Like, that was that like this jacket is this jacket means a lot to me. We got a little Marion theme going again. Love it. I do like the fact that we just kind of hear shit. Like he just throws them out of a truck. Truck chase! Only this time it's in a rainforest and 10 times crappier. Although I do like this moment coming up, right, where he's like, does he know what he's doing? And then the RPG? I don't care who you are, that's awesome. Oh, shit! You know, I kind of wish that it completely incapacitated the truck there. I don't know. Yes, indeed. Oh, man. It's so hard not to like John Hurt in this. Gotta stop saying that.
That is not the best delivery of Jones.
But yeah, man, this is the part where everyone's like, oh, this looks so fake. But no, they shot this entire sequence on a location, like in a real jungle, real forest. And at least this first part isn't half bad. I don't think it's until like when, you know, Shia LaBeouf starts fencing with Cate Blanchett that it's like, what the hell is this?
I mean, at least they referenced that earlier in the film.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, we talked about fencing and that he was good.
Yep,
so.
yep.
Yeah, like there's that much machine gun fire going on and nobody gets hit.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just, oh, this is really cool, though. Or it has some really cool payoff. And the idea behind the of fencing between two cars is kind of cool and unique. I've never seen that before, but there's something about the way that it's photographed doesn't feel quite right. Oh, this is really fun. Regardless, like, even though that Indy's a little overpowered, one could argue, I still dig the sequence just because, you know, the music's there and the action's there and it's Indy with his fedora. Like, I'll buy it still. It's just not. But yeah, that's the one thing that a lot of people didn't kind of like talk about, like how Indy is kind of like John McClane in these in the newer John, like, you know, in the first Die Hard, like, you know, John McClane was getting beat down, like he was points where you thought he was going to lose. It humanized him. He was in pain all the time. But yeah, this, yeah, I don't know why, because like, I know that they did this for real, but it just doesn't feel correct. It feels like it was shot on a blue screen, even though they totally went on location. I don't know. Maybe you can articulate something, because I just can't. I don't know why.
I mean, I agree. I don't know what it is about it, but
maybe it's the photography. Maybe it's the
yeah. I think it has something to do with the photography, because it looks like I think it's something to do with the speed.
Yeah.
Like, it actually, like, there is a balance between, like, in a chase and stuff like this, between, you know, speed and action, and it feels like overly fast.
A little bit. Oh, this is for all the crap that you've done, Mutt. This is payback time. Crotch shot. Yeah, man, I don't know, because you would think, because like the staging and the way that, you know, the premise of a fencing sword fight between two cars would be amazing. It's just not photographed well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this might actually, I hate, because I love Janusz Kaminski's work with Spielberg, man. Like his work on Private Ryan and Schindler's List, and a lot of his later films. Like, I really dig the guy's work. I've seen a lot of it, but it just doesn't feel right here. I don't know what it is.
And sometimes, you know, things are off. Sometimes things just don't play right.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe because I know he was kind of his go-to DP for a while, but maybe he would have been better off without, you know, just hiring a different one for this movie, because it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel quite like an indie movie.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, I think, a lot of it is that, like, when you do have it operating to try and feel like an indie film, it's incongruent. Like, you know, it's too homage-y without actually doing the important things.
Yep. And you notice there's a lot of shaky cam too?
What?
There's like a lot of shaky cam going?
Yeah. And then when you have, you know, like this moment where it's like, oh, this should be classic indie stuff, it doesn't pay off right. It doesn't land correctly.
Yeah. Now we have the CG monkeys that, again, just don't look good. I'm sorry. Even this bit where, like, oh shit, we're going on cliffside, so it's a little bit more closer to Raiders. But it's intercut with probably the dumbest thing I've seen in the movie. This, like...
Yeah, exactly. You're just like,
those
you're Tarzan
yeah,
now?
Dude,
like,
for those of y'all watching, like, go to the bathroom, go and, you know, tug one out, go grab a drink or whatnot, because that was, to me, like, that was the low point of the movie. Like, yikes. Because, see, this moment right here, I thought should have worked a lot better. I guess it's just the modern CG compositing that just didn't quite pan out.
And I think that's a lot of it. I mean, like, you know, you're telling me this was shot on location, okay, but
I just don't believe
it. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look like this is... I mean, right there, the background does not look all that real.
Yeah. Even though it totally is in many cases.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. I really don't. I want to like this sequence. I really fucking do.
Right.
Because when you see it storyboarded, it looks amazing. But the way they rendered it just doesn't feel right. Because, I mean, like, yeah, there's a... do you notice how much, like, you know, there's,
yeah, I don't know if it's the lens they used or what, but and why do we care about the monkey?
I don't know, man. But like, and the other thing that I thought was just that didn't quite feel right was, I mean, in besides the the obvious CG, the other thing is like we had handheld sequences. Like, okay, for real.
That somebody would be dead if that happened.
For real, like again, they made him a little too overpowered and a little too much, but whatever. But now we get our first creepy crawlies for this movie, the ants, which apparently was supposed to be in Last Crusade at one point, but they just decided to go with the rats. But I do like the ants here. The ants aren't half bad. I just really wish they weren't so obviously CG. Because the element that is there. If this was like a comic book or just a series of storyboards, this looks amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I do like the staging. I like the premise. I like the choreography. I just don't like the way that it's photographed and how the CG's rendered.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, like in the old movies, like there are handheld stuff and whatnot, but do you notice that there's like an obnoxious use of like the shaky cam in the action sequences?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's like a post-born identity, born.
Yeah, and that I don't think a lot of people realize how much that is hated by a lot of movie fans.
Yeah, dude. Look, Paul Greengrass can do it for the Bourne movies. That's fine, because that's kind of his thing, and that's kind of the look of the movies. But when you try to, use that for every other movie, it just is obnoxious.
Yeah,
it's far more impressive when it's steady, wide angle stuff.
Exactly. Nobody wants quick cut, shaky cam action that you can't fully follow.
Yeah.
Like, that's not fun.
Although I do like the fact that the skull creates like a bit of a ring with them. That I thought was actually kind of cool. And I do like the effect of the ants here. Like, that's actually kind of cool. I wish they'd gone a little bit crazier with it, but I'll still dig it. Again, wish it wasn't totally obvious that it was CG or like whatever. Like, it just doesn't quite feel right, I guess. But I love the concept of it. I like the ants. Just wish they were rendered better. And they probably could have, because, it was 2008.
Right.
Also, I kind of wish this sequence here was with the fight.
Also, well, yeah, with that guy, he's been a punching bag the whole movie. Like, the whole movie.
I really wish,
suddenly...
Yeah, because look at him. Like, Indy's holding his own. Like, can't we see Indy, like, really get his ass beat? Like, you remember Pat Roach in Raiders with that airplane sequence? Indy was about to get his ass handed to him. I kind of wish we had that here,
Yeah. Well, but they needed somebody else besides just this flunky.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy has been on them so much in the movie. It's like, can we have a different flunky, please?
Yeah. Although I do like that little bit where he's like, hang on, I gotta just one sec. But yeah, I just really wish that it didn't turn into just like a fist.
We're finally getting some blood in these sequences.
Yep. And then I thought this was actually really fun. That's actually kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it's not a bad villain death sequence.
Yeah, it's definitely the most gruesome in this movie, but it works, which is kind of an insult now that I think about it. Like, yeah, it works. Where it should have been like, oh, that was awesome. Again, it's just the way the ants are rendered. They're so obviously CG. Though I do like that where he uses the skull to get his hat back.
Yeah. That
was actually kind of cool. Even if the fucking crystal skull still looks plastic.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they kept it covered up a lot more.
And, here, we're still going. It's still like, no one's gotten away. This sequence is just so prolonged.
Yeah, although I'm kind of here for it, because I think they were, like, trying to do that same thing with Last Crusade, where the tank battle lasted like a full 20 minutes.
Yeah, but, you know, I don't know. Like, there's moments where things stop to take a breath, and you kind of need that breath moment after a while.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this moment I thought was clever. Again, it's just not rendered well. Where they go into the tree and then use the tree to whiplash them back. To be fair, all those guys that fell should have died. But a lot of this, I feel like, just works better on paper and on a storyboard than it does than the way that these guys made it. Because I feel like, oh yeah. So yeah, another little. I think this was a little callback to Temple of Doom with the raft.
Yep.
Oh shit. Although you'd think that, like, they survived not once, not twice, but 3 fucking times. Little bullshit, but
yeah,
whatever. Honestly, like, at this point, we are an hour and a half into this movie. Me as a first-time viewer, at least I was able to gauge that this is the tone of the movie. So, you know what? As silly and impractical as this is, I'll go with you on this.
Right, but see, that's it. You're talking about, like, this is the tone of the movie. And that, I think, is where so much of the annoyance comes in, because this was not the tone of any other indie movie.
Okay. I would have bought that they might have survived in these last ones. I do like the fact that he takes off the hat and holds it. But this one, they should not have survived. Nope. 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 Nope.
And they didn't even survive it hard. Like, it wasn't even that brutal of an encounter.
Okay, what was this?
Look it up.
What was this moment where Karen Allen is just holding the wheel and laughing like, I almost died. I'm not sure if I like that or I hate it. That I thought was a really cool visual, though. No, dude, we're building this movie. We're going with you, man. You know, this is actually the what this also has in common with Temple of Doom, other than being the more subpar. The plot, like the plot of Raiders and Last Crusade, was about finding the relic that the big MacGuffin of the title.
Returning
this
the relic.
In Temple of Doom, and Crystal Skull, they're returning it. So I think we found our formula of what not to do for the next indie movie. No Shia LaBeouf. Minimum use of CGI, and if you're going to use CGI, either de-age Harrison Ford or remove effects. Or remove
also,
elements.
that moment right there?
Yeah.
These are fresh. They were just used. How do you know what a freshly used torch was like? Mister, I'm not an archaeologist. I didn't go to school.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, you notice how they're nicely dry now?
Yeah.
Clean and dry cut. No dust, no mud. Not still soaking wet. But, yeah, what was it saying? So, no Mutt Williams, bring back the Nazis, have you finding the relic instead of returning it, and new cinematographer.
Yeah.
That's the code. There's probably a lot more to it, though. Oh, yeah, and have fucking Indy fire his gun.
Right, and I think a lot of upon rewatching this, a lot of my frustration, very much comes from the fact that it's like they put so many elements in here that should be good indie elements, but they just cannot get them to mesh correctly.
Yeah, and it's frustrating.
It's like, oh, you had a recipe and you had all the right ingredients, but it sounded amazing, but somehow the ingredients made a terrible dish.
Yeah. Maybe it was just the way, they overcooked it or something.
Yeah.
Or undercooked it, rather. Actually, undercooking feels more of a better analogy, because they're holding back on us.
Yeah.
They've been holding out on us for a while. Now, another thing is, like, people kind of, say, oh my god, aliens, like, that's the thing, like, boo-hoo, blah, blah, blah. Come on, have you read some of the Indiana Jones novels? Like, he gets into weirder shit than that, man. So I'm okay with that. That was creepy. I'm okay with the idea of, bringing aliens or interdimensional beings, as they're called, into this.
And we got this stuff. And again, like, going back to what I said earlier, it's like they keep bringing out villains without a reason.
Yeah. Because, again, are these guys protecting the ancient ruins or whatnot? They're never explained. Like, if we had, like, one of them talk to us like it was the Brotherhood of the Holy Cross or whatever it was, and
right,
like, then like, I'll totally buy this. I will totally eat it up, because visually it's fantastic, but man, there's no story behind it.
Exactly. It's so random.
Because, I mean, the only reason why it worked for the opening of Raiders is because it was like a cold opening. You don't need the context. But when we're in the main bulk of the story, like, we kind of need some fucking context here. I do like the costume design, though. Just, again, give me a fucking reason. Oh, shit. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. I lost my train of thought, because, like, that fucking skull is so fucking, like, it's so distracting. So apparently, Kate Blanchett survived, and we gotta have one more encounter.
Yeah, and it's just like,
yeah, but I still like the sets here. The sets are nice.
Yeah, the sets are great. I mean, look, as I said, with this quality of filmmaker, there's always going to be some stuff to appreciate, but it kind of gets lost by the stuff that is disappointing.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I think we were like, it feels like underbaked. It feels undercooked. Like, it needs a few more minutes in the oven with a little bit more blood. A little bit more blood and gunshots, man. Ooh, the John Williams theme here with the trumpets kind of makes me think of the War of the Worlds that he did with Spielberg. Yeah, they all still look so clean cut. Saw that coming. Once again, worst archaeology ever. You got to open something up. Let's bash it with a rock. You know what? I just realized this little bit is because this opening of it, the temple, is actually pretty cool. But I feel like the sand bit was a George Lucas note. just to piss off piss off Darth Vader. I don't like sand. It's rough and coarse and it gets everywhere. This was really cool. And I did like this shot right here where it all goes in. Boom.
Yeah.
And the what is it? The staircase that is that's retracting inwards. Like this I thought was a lot of fun. Apparently, again, this is all a real set where they actually had this shit moved around. Oh, I love that, where they got the guy in the spear. But yeah, like that's an actual set. Like they're actually moving around, and there's like and it's a deep abyss on the way down.
Wow.
They actually just had some safety harnesses for the actors, just in case they did misstep. Well, yeah. And they removed them, obviously. But I just thought that, wow, they actually built this whole pit with retracting staircase. Like that's actually kind of cool.
Just an FYI, I hope everything's good on your channels, because for some reason, like the last time, you're coming in sketchy again.
Oh no, we're good.
Good.
Yeah. Because for those of you who listen, like I'm all the way out in Cincinnati, and Sean, you're further up north. You're what was it?
Toledo area.
Yeah. Okay. So we got to do these things over remote, but. Even if we were even if we live right around the block, I feel like we'd be doing this remote anyway because COVID is happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still really love the sets here and the highlights because, and what's actually really weird? These sets, especially like right here, these are probably the most realistic of the sets in retrospect. Because a lot of it felt a little Hollywood. Yeah. Now it's like we're actually getting into a little bit more greasy and grimy a little bit. So,
but it's also interesting when you look at those spikes, though. It's like, and their size of them, like the only way people are ending up on those is if you are a very large group of people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Mackey's. Man. Leaving behind trackers to get them there. We got a little homage to J.J. Abrams with the fucking sunbeams and lens flares.
Yep.
God help us if J.J. Abrams ever gets his hands on one of these. Nope. Like, especially the fact that Indiana Jones 5 is supposed to be like the last one. Boy, I'd hate to see that, because as much as I admire J.J. Abrams, the guy cannot fucking end a series to save his life.
Yeah, I mean, look, some of his standalone work is amazing.
Yeah, man. Like I really love a lot of his stuff, and some of the Mission Impossible 3 was amazing, but and I still kind of like Force Awakens to an extent, but man,
Super 8.
Oh, geez, Super 8 was awesome, but when you look at, Into Darkness, Lost, and Rise of Skywalker, it's just yikes. You're a great person to start a franchise. To finish, oh my God.
Yeah.
Give it to someone else, anyone.
Yeah, his whole mystery box thing's a little,
Yeah, although I would have been interested if he had a hand in this movie, because indie movies like this one in particular, it does need a little bit of mystery.
Well, it's almost like he did. After all, how much sense does this ending make?
God damn it! Plus with the shaky cam and shit, because I know he does that a lot, and it's just damn it. You're totally right. I do like the mechanism for this shit, though. This is actually kind of fun and cool. Because it feels like a theme park opening ride. But you know what? That's actually a compliment to me. I actually dig that. And then we have the the chamber of the skeletons, where the gods dwell and remain. And yeah, now, you know, for those of you listening at home, apparently there is a little hieroglyph of C-3PO and R2-D2, and I think even E.T. In the background. So I've never been able to spot it, but you know, if there's like a moment where like, oh, it's right there, like, you know, just blurt it out in the comments.
You'd have to pause, and you'd probably have to pause and really look for it.
Yeah, just like blurt it out in the comments, like, so we can actually see it in all its glory and whatnot. Oh, you know what would have been amazing if we actually got to withhold seeing most of the skull until this moment. Because that's the thing that happens when you withhold visual information from the audience. When it does become prevalent, it becomes that much more powerful, you know?
Yeah.
And that was the other thing that the Indiana Jones movies were really good at. They were really good at maintaining the mystery behind the MacGuffins.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really hate to say it, as cool as it's like, you know, skeletons made of crystal and whatnot, and it just might be the photography. It might not be the actual prop design or anything. But they feel plastic. I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Yeah, a bit.
I mean, the skeletons look slightly better than the skull. I think it's because, you know, they're played in the wide shot and not like in close up like this. But I don't know. Although I thought this moment was kind of really cool and unexpected, where it just leaps out of her hand and it gets reseated like the rest of them.
Right.
Yeah, I thought this was actually kind of cool. Good sound design though, with the like the glass, that ethereal like thing. So there's still stuff to be admired. I really wish that glowing effect, like the weird galaxy ethereal thing that was going on inside the head, was like a constant thing. Like, how hard would it have been to build, you know, some LEDs into the Crystal Skull prop? You know, have it always constantly be glowing, and have like, because you know, like they have this whole thing where they characterize it where the ants are afraid of it, and so are the local tribes, people, whatever they are, how they kind of react to it. That's fine and all, but if you're gonna really show the MacGuffin off this much, you should make the MacGuffin a character in and of itself. You know.
Yeah.
Like, because now, oh man, now I'm mad because like they should have made the Crystal Skull a character.
Yeah.
And maybe it would like use Oxley's character to like speak through him. Like, how crazy creepy would that have been? Now, it just might have been me, but when you hear that engine revving up, it kind of sounds like the alarm going off before the nuke gets dropped. It might be me. I don't know if
that might have been a better ending.
Maybe. Although I do like how the whole set rotates and it becomes like a saucer. Because look, the whole visual payoff of there being a giant saucer under a Mayan temple, I'm okay with. Because, again, I've seen Indiana Jones do weirder shit than that. And the fact that it's kind of rendered sort of badly sort of actually works for it, because, you know, it is calling back to those B movies and whatnot. That's like the one shot where I wouldn't mind if it was kind of rendered bad in terms of the CG and whatnot. But, yeah, like... Yeah, interdimensional beings. Like, they're going into the space in between the spaces, or whatever the... Like, dude, they're fucking aliens. We get it. It's okay. You can say it. These movies are silly. You can say that they're aliens. Yeah. Just say that they're aliens. It's okay, movie. You're goofy. It's fine. We're not gonna think any less of you. And this CG, like the anti-gravity stuff, just I really wish they thought of like practical ways to do that anti-gravity, because you can do it, you know? You can do anti-gravity in camera. You might have to remove elements in post, but whatever. Dude, for real, forget the money. Come on. Just got to show off how the greed is the destroyer of the character or whatnot. Man, can you imagine if we had... Because, you know this, what this scene was missing? It needs that effect, like... Man, you should be looking at this sequence of, you know, the aliens and the knowledge and her getting blown up and whatnot. You should be saying to yourself, man, I wish I was baked watching this scene. Like this, where the alien gets all fleshed up. Like, I don't know how that works, but I guess I'm going with it. I did think this was legit creepy, though. Are you just, like, watching in stunned silence there, Sean?
Yeah, it's just like, again, what?
And the... Oh, man, that was lame. That's it? You're like, really? You couldn't have let her burn longer or whatnot, or burn to a crisp?
Like, anything. It's just like, it's just not a very rewarding payoff.
No. And again, the CG enhancements. Like, I know that they did a lot of this stuff practically and whatnot, but the enhancements that they added is just so distracting. And again, I feel like that was like a George Lucas thing. And don't get me wrong, George, I fucking love you. I would be honored to meet you one day. But you really do just need to have some other writers to tell you no. Just no, darling. We love you. We love you very dearly. But sometimes just no. Don't do that. Don't do the thing, George. And again, this moment right here where it's like the whole valley and the Aztec thing where it ruptures. Mm-hmm. It looks so cool on like a storyboard or as like a piece of conceptual art where the you know, the gravity's rotating and it gives way to a saucer. Like, it looks cool. And it's so not the weirdest thing that Indy's ever encountered. Like, you look in the novels, it gets fucking weird, man. And here again, like here, this is the one shot I'm okay with the CG not being that great. It kind of works.
Yeah.
And I even love the fact that they stick to the old, you know, classic saucer design. I'm cool with it. It fits, so, but it's just the rest that just don't work for me. You still seem pretty stunned by everything.
It's just like, I don't know, there's a balance to things in my opinion. I mean, obviously there's over-the-top stuff in other indie films, but none of it is this over-the-top.
Yes. Just say they're aliens, dude. It's okay.
Right?
Like, these movies are silly. They're crazy. It's fine. Although seriously though, like The fact that all that archaeological history is just gone. You'd think Indy would just be on his knees like, no!
Right.
And then, of course...
It's just, as the ending's just all way too over the top, a little corny here. And yeah, other indie stuff's corny, but it's just like...
Again, look at them.
It doesn't hit right.
Well, also, look at them. They just got through the water twice. And they're dry. Like, their hair's a little wet, but seriously, their jackets are dry. Although I do like that the junior. Although I do want to know, how do they get back home from here?
Yeah.
Like, did they just...
Also, I love the ambiguity of that line, because you don't know if he's talking about Abner or if he's talking about the other judge.
Yeah,
Jones.
yeah. For real, dude? You couldn't have told me that until... but, like, before I started? Oh, I will admit, this was kind of nice to see. It's not like, the rompous, ending I would expect for an indie movie, but just looking at the characters, it's nice seeing this.
Yeah.
In terms of the rest of the body of the movie, I can see why. And apparently, you know who else was supposed to appear here? John Rhys Davies as Sala.
That would have been great.
But, well, the only reason why he turned it down is because he's like, if I'm just in it for a cameo and I really don't have any substantial shit otherwise, and just be, like, straight up fan service, I'm not going to be in it. Which I actually kind of am okay with.
Yeah, that's fair.
But apparently, you know who else George wanted in this sequence? Or it might have been George or Spielberg. Apparently he wanted Short Round All Grown Up and Willie here. Which I'm like, look, I'll take Short Round. Totally.
Yeah, Willie doesn't make any sense.
No,
Short Round does.
Because, man, in this moment, okay, this is the moment where every indie fan, even me, I was like, don't you fucking dare. Don't you dare. No. No. Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Right.
Like, even I shared, like, all the, like, oh, thank you, Jesus.
Nope.
Oh, thank God. That was close. And that's the ending.
It's like, you are not the successor we want.
Oh, hell no. And thank God that they had that, because, with the falling out with Shia LaBeouf and his ill popularity with the fans and his comments, and just, like, it's really good that Mutt isn't coming back. I just, like, look, I know Shia LaBeouf has been in other great movies. He's a weirdo that I kind of respect, but don't come back to an indie movie. I just don't want to see your face. You are the bastard child of this franchise, and I'm okay if you stay there.
He's he doesn't need to be brought back. He doesn't need to be referenced. It's just like, let him be.
Yeah, this is why if they're gonna do Indy 5, I'm totally on board with it taking place before this movie. Like, have it set in, like, 1948 or something like that. And like I said, again, if you're listening out there, Lucasfilm, whoever's running the show, I don't care who, but if you're listening, Indiana Jones and the Spear of Destiny, where he's fighting not only the post-Nazis or the remnants of the Nazi Empire, but also the Soviets and all the other Allied powers occupying Germany. And he has to make friends with one of the Nazi detractors that that was cleared after the war, legitimately so. And they introduce him by saying, we met once before, Dr. Jones. We did? Yeah, you threw me out of a truck. Like,
well,
amazing.
Something like that. Also, I mean, with a premise like that and trying to find the Spear of Destiny, it gives you perfect excuse to bring Sala back
exactly!
in because the Nazis were all over North Africa and the Middle East.
Yes.
So it's just like, yeah, there you go. Like,
exactly.
You have your tie-in.
Do it, you cowards. But yeah, so again, I still have fun, and I still have a appreciation for some of the stuff in here. Is it well put together? Is it well baked? No, it is not.
No.
Although it's there, I still will say. I can still say that because of the way the film's paced, I can enjoy it a little bit more than Temple of Doom, but only a little bit.
See, yeah, it's just not going to register for me. And again, like, part of that is just it came so much later after I had so much of an affinity for the earlier films.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. As you said, yeah, there's definitely worse movies out there, but you can't, as a longtime fan, I can't look at this movie objectively removing it from the other films in the franchise.
Yeah.
And that's why it makes watching this movie not so much of an enjoyable experience for me.
Yeah, and
and again, that goes back to what we said at the start. At least, when they did the Star Wars prequels, that was removed enough in a timeline to a whole different point with different characters, just set in the and still the same universe. That like, oh, this works. I can operate with
sort
this.
of
oh,
works.
It's that character, 60 years ago. Before, oh yeah, this is fine. Like, it makes sense. Like, it can work based on the world they created.
But when it's like the exact same characters, you've got to bring that level of consistency. Otherwise, they're gonna kill you.
Exactly. It's just when it feels off, you're just like,
yep,
cringe.
Yep. And again, like, it's like, because I know even Harrison Ford is kind of mixed about it, like. Because there's I guess it's kind of a miracle looking back at, Last Crusade and Raiders that shit just kind of fell together perfectly. Like, because, as you know, they were dealing out a whole ton of different ideas. Like, for last, props made at Stan Winston. God rest his soul.
Well, I mean.
But.
And when you talk to almost anyone about making a movie, they will tell you that it's nearly a miracle that any movie even gets made.
Yeah.
Let alone that it ends up being good. And a lot of it, I think, is like lightning striking.
Yeah, it really is.
I've seen a lot of movies that had great premise, and a decent cast where it's just like, oh, that just wasn't executed the right way, or just was a little off. And it didn't work. And you could see why it's like, man, with that premise and that cast, like, this should have been amazing. And it couldn't get there. So it really is, catching lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And you can't always predict how that's going to happen. Heck, a lot of directors that I love have movies, on their resumes where it's just like,
yikes.
Oh, you did that one. Wow. But, that's fine because
it humanizes them.
You have to get... there's a measure of getting your feet under you, getting your feet wet, and you can have some missteps, but you know what? Those experiences lead them to do it better the next time. Usually.
Exactly,
So.
and hell, sometimes they really do. Like, you remember when Ridley Scott was in the early 2000s was just like crapped on, and then, he comes back with something like The Martian. Yeah, dude, it's like amazing. So, his career is an amazing, like, high and low period.
Well, but Scorsese's done a lot of the same things. Scorsese will sometimes bring in films where you're like, oh, but it's like, man, when Ridley Scott is on, and I mean really on, he does deliver some amazing films.
Totally, dude.
And look, I'll straight up, one of the most underrated films and underappreciated films in my book, of the last 20 years. And you have to watch the director's cut because what they did for the theatrical release is insulting. Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah.
That movie is brilliant, particularly with how much dialogue they tried to actually lift from the historical record in some cases. Like, there are straight up scenes where it's like, this is so close to how it actually happened. That's amazing.
Yeah, I heard the same thing. Like, Kingdom of Heaven, like, gets shit on only if it's the theatrical cut, though. Which is why people are and because, you know, like, the critics that's the version all the critics saw, so it doesn't quite get the amount of love that it really should, because it's like, no, there's this other version that's way better.
It's like, yeah, we kind of had to cut a half hour of, like, you know, actual characterization and development because the studio was unhappy. It's like,
yeah, I know, dude. Studios are just like, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating, especially because, you know, corporations ever since like the late 70s and early 80s, like ever since, you know, corporate filmmaking has been a thing, it's just really been a real ache, because they're the only ones that have the money to get these kinds of movies released. But at the same time, they have all these parameters because they have to, you know, adhere to these statistics that, you know, focus groups and things like that have to acquire, which is, you know, like the reason why movies like Ant-Man with Edgar Wright, why he was just like he was looking at all these parameters for and constraints that, you know, the corporation was giving him, and he's like, fuck off, I want to do my own thing. Like, and they just fired him off, which is like,
well, yeah, that's one of the reasons on a lot of those kind of movies you're going to end up with younger directors. Like, they want somebody who they know can handle the actors, and really almost everything else they want their machine to handle, because they've established how they want things to go.
They're employees.
So you're there.
Yeah, well, I was going to say they're employees, not artists, really.
Exactly.
And you know, to a certain extent, maybe this movie feels the same way. Like, Spielberg came back as an employee and not an artist per se. It's arguable, I guess, because again, they had all the original producers. Lucasfilm wasn't owned by Disney yet. You know, Spielberg was obviously and Lucas was very passionate about it. Even Harrison, most of the players were very passionate. I don't know.
I know Star Wars was sold. Did he sell like the Lucasfilm branding? I thought he just sold Star Wars.
No, actually, I'm pretty sure it was Lucasfilm entirely.
Huh.
Yeah. So, if we do get an Indy 5, I think it might be released under the mouse. You know, actually, I'm just I want to make sure, because I'm 90% sure that's the case. Because, Lucasfilm is now a subsidiary of Walt Disney Studios, which means that not only Star Wars is owned by the mouse, but also Indy. Man, someone's like, get that mouse under control, man. Like, that's just too much. I'm going to quote Morgan Freeman from The Dark Knight. This is too much power for one person.
Dude, now that they have Fox, like, it's insane.
Oh, dude, like,
I don't know how that was legally able to happen.
Well, legally, the way they're able to get away with it is because they call them they're allowed to keep their original names, their original company names. They are just subsidiaries, therefore not a part of the actual Disney company or the Walt Disney brand.
Gussy it up however you want. I know a monopoly when I see
Oh, no. They're totally... I'm not defending them at all. I'm just saying that's legally how they're able to get away with it. Which is bullshit, honestly.
Well, you know, back to the point. You know, we'll see what happens going... Yeah, it's like, man, we've really got off topic. We'll see what happens going down the line if they make another one. But, you know, after this one, I don't think there's any longtime fans who are like, please give us another indie. We're just kind of like, please let it die.
I really do want to see one more indie. I wouldn't mind. Just give me a really good story.
Well, but that's just it. Yeah, everyone would love to see a good indie. But if we get another movie like this, it's just like, do you have to kick the corpse? And you know what? Maybe they do, because it is indie, and he does kind of have a habit of desecrating corpses. So why not his own?
You know what? Let's just go for it. Because honestly, I'm still all in for an Indy 5. Because again, I choose to give these things the benefit of the doubt, and I just refuse to like deliberately hate on something. Unless it's something like Michael Bay's Pearl Harbor, then that deserves
Well, as
all the
I
hate.
said, I mean, I didn't discount the things that were good in the movie. It's like, obviously the music's good. There's going to be some shots and moments where it's like, oh, that's really cool and well done. But and as I said, I'm not shitting on the movie. I'm not being hateful because of hate.
Yeah.
It's just like, it doesn't hold up to what indie films have always been for me and always were. And, as I said, I pointed out those moments. It's like, oh, these things don't come together. It's like, there's no explanation for this. This is a non sequitur. This doesn't make any sense. It's like those moments just take you out of it. And they had them again and again and again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, And so, like, because of all those little things, it's like, you know what? Is this the worst movie ever? No, of course not.
Yeah.
But is it one I want to revisit? Not really.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like, well, if it's if it's available to watch on like an airplane or on cable when you're visiting old parents or grandparents, yeah, sure, I'll watch it. Why not? But to actively revisit it, unless it's like a big marathon thing or whatever, yeah, not really interested in rewatching. It's fine. But again, I still just want to reiterate, because like I know you differ with it, because I have to state my elephant in the room, which is I still kind of like this one a little bit better than Temple of Doom, but that's only because it's paced better for me as a late bloomer indie fan, because Raiders, like, they had those action beats and they had that sense of fun, and Temple of Doom literally was just like either gross out stuff or just pain and torture for the middle hour of the movie. And it wasn't, and it was only the beginning and the very end where I'm like, yay, Indy, go get him, yay. At least in this one I could be like, oh, Indy, yeah, go. But I was doing that consistently, and I wasn't just waiting. So I guess that's really what it comes down to. And I still really hope that there's going to be a really good Indy 5, and even if it's kind of subpar like this, I don't think I'll be glad that I think I'll still be glad that I'll get to see it in theaters and whatnot. If theaters ever fucking open up again.
That's a big yeah.
But no, I still want to see another Indiana Jones and have one more really fun swashbuckling romp with the guy. I think it'll still be fun.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. But I think that'll be it for this episode. The next week I'm going to be coming back with my buddy Mark Borison, and we're going to be doing Spider-Man 2 for our Marvel Movie of the Month to cap it off for this month here. So hope you guys enjoyed. This has been an episode of Comtrack where you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. I'm Tim.
I'm Sean.
And this is me. You guys can't see, but I am putting down my indie hat in reverence until the next one. So I guess I'll see you guys next month with Marvel Movie of the Month with Mark. Peace.